7 years ago, my mixes were a complete disaster.
Well, I'm running down the road, trying to loosen my load. I got 7 women on my mind.
Yeah, I actually uploaded that video. And I thought it was good. I remember watching tons of tutorials trying to figure out how to improve my mixing skills, but not ever being able to relate to any of them. They were producing their stuff, I was producing my stuff. I was tired of learning how before I knew why. So today I want to give you 5 tips that I wish I knew when I started music production that'll help you improve tenfold. Especially tip number 5. There's a difference between hearing and listening. In theory, music production is simple. You just make stuff sound good. The only discrepancy there is if you don't know what sounds good. There's a super simple way of figuring it out, but just because it's simple doesn't mean it's quick and doesn't mean it's easy. You have to put in the work of actively listening to music. And you don't just need to listen to the genre that you want to create because you're just kind of listening for the fundamentals of music production. You can listen to metal if you want to create folk music. You can listen to jazz if you want to create hyper pop. You want to be picking up the fundamentals of why you like the sound as opposed to just the genre. So listen to the balance of a song. Where's the vocal? Where's the guitar? The drums, etc. That is gain staging. Listen to the dynamics of the song. Does the vocal get too loud and then too quiet? Is it up front in the mix? Is there elements shoved in the background? That is compression. Listen to the space being created. Is it artificial sounding? Is it spacious? Reverb. I really like the dry homemade feel of Love Yourself by Justin Bieber. Maybe I'll use a little slappy reverb on the guitar and pan that guitar down the middle. That'll make it feel more homemade. The guitar just kind of sits there under the vocal mix, so a heavier compression is probably used. The more you analyze, the bigger the mixing lexicon will be in your head, allowing you to easily decide what your song needs and have thoughts like that running on autopilot. Next, you've got to learn the fundamentals of each processor. Let's say you find the best construction worker in the world, and then you go back in time to when they were 7, and then you make them build a house. Bob the Builder would have no clue how to build a house if he didn't know how to use his tools or what his tools even did. So fast forward to all your pirated plugins that you've got, this huge list, this huge library, a Wikipedia of plugins. If compression doesn't feel like an old friend you can see like 2 years apart and still catch up on and still know like the back of your hand, then you do not know compression. Why are you buying more compressors? The same goes for every other type of processor, reverb, saturation, modulation. At some point you have to stop fighting the plugin and actually understand the plugin. That is what a manual's for. Compression is historically a hard thing to understand for beginners and amateurs, and that's just one piece of the puzzle. Do you know compression like you know EQ? Do you know saturation like you know compression? Do you fully understand like mid-side EQ? Know your processors, and with that, you'll know how to use them, when to use them, and why to use them. Speaking of which, if you need a straightforward look at all the types of processors, there's a whole mixing module dedicated to it on my new course, Make Music the Course, shameless plug. But if you're serious about music production, go check it out. Link in the description. Next, you've got to find out why instead of how. Tutorials, to me, felt like how to process the sound they had, but I didn't have that sound because I didn't have $8,000 to spend on a Neumann U87. So what you need to do is understand why they're applying that processing. Why do they put a VCA compressor on? Why are they using a plate reverb? Why a spring reverb? Why are they using an echo? If you're watching a video and you can't understand why something is done, then you're just wasting your time, or maybe you're just getting inspiration, which is cool. But if you're watching to learn, you should be learning. Instead of figuring out how to apply that compression on that female vocal, figure out why that female vocal needs that compression. Eventually, utilizing tip number 2, you'll also know what track needs what. After that, it's smooth sailing. But none of this compares to tip number 5. I swear to God, it changed everything for me. This ties into tip number 2, but it's more plugin based. This is one of my biggest mistakes starting out, and I think the majority of beginners can also relate. So I get it, when you start a new hobby, you don't really want to spend a bunch of money on that hobby. So you start pirating audio plugins, and it's easy. Suddenly you've got a huge collection. You feel like, I don't know, Ash from I never watched Pokemon. You're sitting on like 10 grand worth of plugins. You feel like the Bezos of Ableton. And it's not your fault. Plugin ads on Instagram are dope. Stephen Slade could sell me anything. The issue with this is that you have no idea how 95% of those plugins work. You should know your plugins inside out. It took until I downloaded Soothe 2 to realize that I didn't need Soothe 2. It took until I downloaded Vocally a Doubler 2 to realize that I hate the workflow and I'm never going to use that thing again. I use the Pro C2 all the time and I probably only know like 75% of what it does. Most plugins have a ton of different stuff you can do with them and have a ton of different ins and outs, and you don't even know about them. Learning what your plugins can fully do will not only save you a bunch of time, but it'll save you thousands of dollars because you won't need that new plugin that just came out. That's all AI focused and fucking stupid. Also, quick question. What was the first plugin that you bought? And then what's the latest plugin that you bought? I bet you spent a lot more time learning that plugin that you actually bought instead of pirated. And I'm not hating on pirating. I'm not hating on it. Honestly, big old companies kind of suck sometimes. So go ahead. I'm not hating on pirating. I'm just hating on the mass collection of shit you don't know. And lastly, This is the tip that changed it all. If you forget about every other tip in this video, fine, but do not forget about this one. Mixing does not start in the DAW. Mixing starts in the recording stage. It always starts in the recording stage. If I bought a $20 Temu camera and tried to make it look 4K, I would not be able to do that. But if I bought a 4K camera, I could definitely make it look like a $20 Temu camera. So don't cheat yourself in the recording process. Learn how to record, and when you do that, spend time messing around with recording. Moving the mic a few inches away can be the difference between a really painful thing to mix and you'll probably need to use Soothe on it, and a really beautiful sounding thing that you just need a bit of compression on. Go into the recording process with like a little bit of a plan. I want this guitar to be really clicky, so I'm gonna put the mic near the bridge. Simple as that. I want this vocal to be very glued and up close in the mix, so I'm just gonna go up close with the microphone. I'm gonna whisper like Billie Eilish. It's difficult to mess with the timbre of an instrument past the recording stage, but it's super easy in the recording stage. Great mixes are made from great recordings. Great masters are made from great mixes. Record like there's no mix stage, mix like there's no master stage. I don't know who said that, but it's all over the audio engineering Reddit, and it's facts. So if you're really interested in music production, there's a free mixing masterclass linked in the description below. You can go click it. It's basically just a full, very lightly edited session of mixing a pop song where I drop principles here and there to help you with your mix. And if you're super serious about it, then Make Music, the course is now available. In it, we focus on every stage of the music production process, from the fundamentals, I'm talking acoustics and room treatment, all the way to mastering the song. And we focus a lot on these tips throughout. If that sounds like something you're interested in, link in the description. Thank you for watching. Hope I saved you a couple years.